Auspicious greeting, everyone. Welcome to our Hope, Future and Hope Public Lecture Series, organized by Fo Guang Shan Temple Boston and BLIA Boston Chapter. My name is Louis Lau, and I'm the MC for today. On behalf of BLIA Boston Chapter, I'd like to welcome our speaker, Venerable Miao Jing. We are delighted, and it is our honor to host you today. Venerable Miao Jing has many responsibilities. These include Abbess, Fo Guang Shan Mabuhay Temple in Manila, Philippines, Director, Three Acts of Goodness School Project in the Philippines, Lecturer of Buddhist Studies, Guangming College in Manila, Dean of Humanistic Academy of Life and Art in the Philippines, Advisor, BLIA in the Philippines. Today, Venerable Miao Jing will present the following topic: to uplift and see the beauty of living in good and bad times. Now, I'd like to invite the director of our Fo Guang Shan Buddhist Temple in Boston, Venerable Jie Qian, to give us an opening remark. Please, Venerable Jie Qian.
Thank you, MC. Good evening to everyone from North America, and good morning to everyone from Asia. Auspicious greeting to Venerable Miao Jing, Venerables, and everyone online. Tonight, we are very happy to have Venerable Miao Jing with us to share her wisdom. Venerable Miao Jing has been the abbess in Philippines for many, many years, leading the temple and also the localization of Buddhism in Philippines. Philippines is the only country in Asia in which Christianity is the national religion. So we can imagine how difficult to be able to introduce Buddhism to the local people. 2 years ago, I have a chance to visit Philippines, presenting a talk, and have had this opportunity to attend a local interfaith event in a school with other religious representatives to share our point of views on the topic based on our faith. I can feel and also see the challenges from the venerables serving in Philippines. That's why I admire Venerable Miao Jing's courage in Philippines, introducing or propagating the Dharma. So tonight, Venerable Miao Jing will be sharing with us on the topic of to uplift and see the beauty of living in good or bad time through 10 ancient simple ways of cultivation. In the past 30 to 40 years, most of us have been in a good time. We have food to eat, we have shelter, we have money to buy things. We do not need to worry about war, about death that will come to us or our family anytime. However, now the whole world are facing the threats of COVID-19, economic issues, environmental issues, and etc. That causes a lot of challenge in our life. So let's have Venerable Miao Jing to share with us how to uplift and see the beauty of life in current challenging condition. I will pass the mic back to our MC Louis, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Venerable Jie Qian. So the Dharma talk will last about 1 hour, and then we will go to the Q&A section. I will encourage you to ask as many questions as possible by putting your questions here, in the Q&A area, or in the Zoom chat, which is here. Am I pointing in the right direction? I think so, yes. So as well, we will interact with all our devotees using a web app called slido.com. Venerable Miao Jing will be explaining how to use that in the video. If you fail to log into slido.com for whatever reason, do not worry. I will show you a tutorial very quickly right now. If everything still fails, please type in your responses in the Zoom chat or the YouTube chat. So right now, and also the presentation will be pre-recorded. We'll play the presentation to avoid any instability in connection to the internet. And however, Venerable Miao-Jing will be here the whole time with us. So let me show very quickly how to log into slido.com before I welcome Venerable. So do you guys see my screen? Yes, okay. So Venerable Miao-Jing will be showing this screen again and the QR code. If you use an iPhone, please go to the Safari app to go to the, basically go to the internet browser. And if you use Android, please go to your Chrome browser and then type in slido.com. Once you get into the slido.com interface, you'll see this space where you should be entering the number of 46178. I repeat, it's 46178. Don't worry, we'll play this again. And enter, right, by clicking this arrow. You'll see an interface like this. We will be using the poll function here in slido.com, where you'll also see the response from others. And the questions will be available once we show that during our presentation. If you use, alternatively, if you do not want to use the browser, you can simply scan the QR code here, which I'll show you again. How do you scan a QR code? If you use a Line app, click here and scan the QR code with your camera, and you should see a link here. Just click that on your phone, and you should be able to access slido.com. If you use WeChat, click this little plus button and press scan. It may be showing in Chinese in your phone, but this is where you get the scan. So do not worry. If all fails, please type in your response in the Zoom chat or the YouTube chat. And now please join me in welcoming Venerable Miao-Jing, who is going to speak to us on the topic to uplift and see the beauty of living in good or bad times. Please, Venerable Miao-Jing.
O great compassionate Buddha, we pray for guidance all through the dark. We pray for pureness of heart and a peace of mind.
O great compassionate Buddha, we pray for courage in these trying times. We pray for faith in each other and all of mankind.
May we find peace in the silence, hope in the midst of it all. May we be the light. May we give joy and convenience, confidence to one and all through the night. May we do good, speak good, think good, and may we be the light.
O great compassionate Buddha, we pray for wisdom all over the world. We pray for all of our leaders to make the right choice.
Oh, great compassionate Buddha, may the compassion you've taught us shine through, and may we
silence.
Hope in the midst of it all. May we be the light. May we give joy and convenience, confidence to one and all through the night. We do good, speak good, and think good, and may we be the light. Do good, speak good, think good, so that we'll be the light.
Be the light.
菲律宾佛光山佛光飞扬30周年，谢谢星云大师，有你真好，赞！
有你真好。
师傅，有你真好。赞！赞！赞！
Be the light.
Auspicious greetings to Venerable Jue Qian, IBPS Boston, and everyone online for this special affinity. When Kwang College was founded in 2014, we are very honored to have Venerable Jue Qian coming over to give lectures and Dharma talks. This is my way of saying thank you to Boston. I was born in an Islamic country, Brunei Darussalam in Southeast Asia. Then my family immigrated to the Christian Canada. Later, I had my vocations in Taiwan and now serve in the Catholic Philippines. I found that people everywhere has the same universal goal in life. Every person wants to be happy. I also realized that people from different places, cultures, and religions have one common thing to do. Every person has a good heart. This talk is an attempt to find that beauty in people and that essence of living beyond form, space, and time. I propose to look into the following 3 topics of discussions. We are going to study an old text written by Master Lian Ci Zihong of Ming Dynasty in the 16th century. We want to inherit the ancient wisdom and be able to say, life is beautiful at all times, in rain or shine, during good or bad days. Scan this QR code using cell phone camera or line at friend scanner. Tap the pop-up link to access the questions. Otherwise, you may open your browser, go to slido.com and key in the 5-digit number shown. On your screen, you will read question 1. In 1 or 2 words, how do you feel about life in 2020? Please type your answer and press send button. The poll is now open. When you are done answering question 1, do not exit yet. We will continue later. We will pause here until everyone gets a chance to respond. Thank you for participating. Keep your thoughts. Year 2020 is unexpected. It is challenging and unprecedented. This year is also 75th anniversary of United Nations. We also want to know how the others are doing and what others are thinking, and how an international peacekeeping body is protecting mankind. Let's watch Our World, Our Future.
Our world is facing unprecedented challenges. Climate change is altering natural balance. And our precious wildlife is struggling to survive. We are battling a new era of conflict and violence. There's the disruptive impact from digital technologies and shifting demographics with gaping inequalities. Now, a global epidemic is reshaping our world as we know it. We are at a crossroad at a time when our world seems so divided. Our world is struggling to breathe. For the United Nations 75th anniversary, we set out to ask the world, what are your hopes for your future?
If you could choose one thing to say to the UN, to world leaders about the future, what would that be?
In January 2020, the United Nations launched a global initiative to have the world's largest conversation on the future we want. Discussions have taken place in all settings, from classrooms to boardrooms, parliaments to village halls across the world, in order to reach as many people as possible. The United Nations listened, and the world spoke.
Justice, equality, and freedom for all.
People can really be in peace and with dignity, because our dignity was taken away from us because of our religion and because of who we are. And I hope that we are the last community who are suffering of those problems.
Health is often looked at as an expense. It is not. It is an investment.
We change by exchanging without losing ourselves.
We have run out of excuses and we are running out of time.
If we don't stop the destruction of our natural world, nothing else will matter.
More than ever before, we need solidarity, hope, and the political will to see this crisis through together.
From what we have heard, the world is not as divided as we thought. The global economy, healthcare, sanitation, education, and the hardest places hit are our top priorities from recovering from the pandemic. In response to COVID-19, greater international solidarity is urgently needed. The threat of climate change and destruction of our natural environment is the biggest fear for the future. We need increased efforts to reduce conflict and violence, and we aspire to further protect human rights. For optimism about our future, we need to look to our young people. The overwhelming majority of us believe global cooperation is more vital than ever.
Every time we fail to find solutions to global challenges, the most vulnerable people in our societies are hit the hardest.
Throughout history, we have accomplished unimaginable things, propelling each generation further than the last. There is no limit to the amount of good we can achieve together to make this world, our world, a better place. The challenges before us are universal, and we know that these challenges demand global solutions. We have the blueprint to achieve a better and more sustainable future for all. The Sustainable Development Goals. In 2045, the United Nations 100th year, let's see the change we have implemented today that will shine a light on our children's tomorrow.
Change is coming. The real power belongs to the people.
And I want to turn the question inside out as well. I will not ask, how dare you? Instead, I will ask, do you dare to?
This is the most urgent of times and the most urgent of messages. Now must be our moment for action.
These are the people and things happening around us every day. This pandemic has further demonstrated that we are more connected to each other than we have ever imagined. In the Philippines, we heal as one. We also hear we are in this together. We are interconnected. Amid pandemic, many lost opportunity and livelihood. Many felt uncertainty and fear. Yet this pandemic has given us other types of opportunity and making of life. There is a balance, some gain, other lost. A devotee shared his experience that his family do not eat out anymore, but take out and cook at home. They have more family time, and his daughter learned new recipes from YouTube. We go back to the basic necessity of living. We have renounced our traveling plans, social celebrations, shopping trips, and cravings for chocolate or favorite restaurants. We are living a simple, maybe a semi-monastic life. Here is question 2. Please go back to Slido. Tell us in 1 or 2 words, what have you achieved in 2020? It can be a task, a job, a hobby, a feeling, a mission you complete or just kick off or in progress. Thank you for participating. And it feels good to get to know a little bit more about our group today. Please do not exit Slido yet. We'll be using it later. This was the response of the participants at the 2020 Sustainable Development Impact Summit in September. Looking forward, we are preparing ourselves to be resilient, cooperative, connected, people-oriented, altruistic, hopeful, acting and working with urgency. It's good that you have just logged into a Future and Hope Talk series on a Sunday night. This digital platform is opening a new collaborative channel for sharing experience and working in a creative environment. For this talk, there are 7 technical peoples helping me behind the scene. When I went to lecture before, I fall back to writing on the whiteboard. Now I pray for stable internet connections. We are entering a digital era with not much time to think about it. The Buddha's compassion and wisdom has been a guiding light of hope for people over 2,600 years. Are we ready to let it continue to shine on digital humanity? The Buddha's compassion and wisdom are attained by cultivating the mind. Do you believe by following the middle path and living a life that is free from dualities of suffering and joy, one can truly resolve problems in life? With great compassion and wisdom, the Buddha taught us the 3 Dharma seals, in which he paved the way to help us to transcend all duality in the phenomena world, to attain nirvana. This is the ultimate state of tranquility. This original nature is unchanging and pure. It does not arise nor extinguish, come nor go. When we recognize it, we will be without joy, without sorrow. All sentient beings have Buddha nature. This equality means that respecting others is the same as respecting oneself. This equality means to embrace the differences to complete oneself. How do we attain nirvana? We should take precepts and diligently cultivate. By doing so, we eradicate thoughts of attachment, clinging, and fear. When we understand that the nature of all dharmas is empty, we settle our body and mind in the three learnings of precept, meditations, and wisdom. Mindful practices cut off delusions and uncertainty. Throughout the process, we use the four means of embracing and 6 paramita to liberate others. We have lined our building blocks of understanding. Among the 3 topics of discussions, we'll first look into the other side of difficulty. Is there carefreeness? Only when we understand difficulty as such, we can see difficulty as it presents and not being deluded by it. This is finding sincerity, kindness, and beauty in life amid mistreatment, adversity, and fears. Master Lien Tzu Zhuhong had an answer. At age 50, Master Lien Tzu completed this title, Relevant Acts of the Monastics, to address weak morality in Sangha and decline governance in temples during late Ming Dynasty. We'll discuss 4 aspects with regards to this book: the author, his social background, as well as the content, teachings, and practice. This table shows the highlights of Buddhism during Ming Dynasty. Ming Dynasty ruled for almost 300 years. The reign was progressive and prosperous with international diplomatic relations. Zheng He led 7 sailing expeditions. Religious missionaries arrived. Based on the principle of nature and self-cultivation in transcending the world, patons paid to be granted merits. Kindness halls were established to do charity for correcting merits. The government has installed standards for temple and Sangha. Sangha were not allowed to go to towns. During conflict or natural disaster, the government saw registry or license. Many stay in the monastery for different reasons and talked without basis. The monastery lost reputations and morality of Sangha declines. This is under such circumstance, Master Lien Tzu wrote the book. He was born in a prestigious family and well educated. Once he heard an old lady chanting the Buddha's name and asked curiously. He went home and wrote Birth and Death, 2 big happenings, on his study desk. He became vegetarian and chants Buddha's name. At age 27, his father passed away, followed by his son and wife. When his mother died, he wrote 7 strokes across and renounced his layman life. His teacher recited, "Do not greed on fame and gains. The mind is to cultivate the path only. Honestly, uphold precepts and chant." Master Lien Tzu practiced throughout his whole life. He came into his enlightenment when he was leaving the temple and heard the bell ringing from afar. Master Lien Tzu had profound cultivation. There were tigers harming people in the mountains where he lived. He then compassionately offered Yogacara food offering prayer to tame the tigers. There were drought and epidemic diseases spreading. The villagers asked Master Lien Tzu to pray for rain. When he started chanting the Buddha's name, it began to rain. The villagers then built him a temple, and gradually, monastics gathered to learn from Master Lien Tzu. He set 10 rules for his monastery to uphold morality. It was said that Manjari Bodhisattva has manifested to meet Master Lien Tzu. Even though Master Lien Tzu was highly respected, he remained humble and frugal. His routine was chanting the Buddha's name, meditate, give lectures, recite precepts, and wrote Dharma books. He followed his teacher, honestly uphold precept and chant. His cultivation was embedded in his everyday routine. Master Lien Tzu built a liberty pond to uphold the precepts of no killing. He compiled 100 stories in restraining from killing to protect life and nurture compassion. Master Lianzi chants the Buddha's name his whole life. One of the auspicious signs to be reborn in the Pure Land is to have no fear and know the arrival of death. He told his disciple, I am going on a long trip, and offered tea to be served to everyone. At the assembly, he said his last words. Honestly chant the Buddha's name, do not alter the topic. He passed in sitting posture. Master Lianzi has written many commentaries and works on the teachings of Pure Land. He promotes the integrations of Chan and Pure Land, as well as Huayan and precepts. Chan, Pure Land, and precepts are the three schools in Chinese Buddhism emphasizing on the practice of chanting. Chan master meditate, Pure Land master chant, precept master uphold daily routine strictly. Huayan is the school on teachings of interpenetrations and oneness. Master Lianzi promotes all practices and teachings to be integrated. In this table, the 4 principles of Pure Land were chanting, the contemplative mind for chanting, the Huayan certain teaching for Amitabha Sutra, and the upholding of precepts while chanting are all integrated into one practice, that is, the chanting of the Buddha's name. In his book on relevant acts of monastic, Master Lianzi lists the 10 acts that can be categorized into 3 aspects. Uphold self-discipline by observing simplicity and strictness. Building relations with others by being compassionate, showing respect to teachers, being filial piety to parents, and loyal to the authorities. These are the 4 kinds of gratitude taught by the Buddha to build order in society, setting model for virtues and faith by living in nobility and prudence, hardship, and believing in faith. Master Lianzi used 136 examples of monastic during the Buddha's time up to Ming Dynasty across 2,000 years. Many of this story was recorded during Tang Dynasty, which was considered the golden era of eminent monks in Chinese Buddhism. There were 10 selected stories being translated by Bokkom in this book after many autumns. Each story represents an example of each relevant act. These are the biography with names, place, and time. There are 3 stories from the Buddha's time about 2 of his great disciples. Magayayana, being filial piety, to ask the Buddha to save his mother from hell because his supernatural power could not. The Buddha taught him to make food offering at the last day of summer retreat. This is the origin of Alabama festival on Sangha Day, which Buddhists continue to commemorate filial piety of a renounced child. Master Lianzi has mentioned Master Xuan Zhuang, the great translator and the first patriarch of Fa Xiang school, twice for his strictness and hardship, traveling across the desert and over Himalayas to India. He also mentioned Fa Yu, who followed the route of Master Fa Xian to travel to India for bringing the sutra back to China. Many lost their life during the trips. Master Lianzi emphasized that simple life of monastic can be challenged by great vow. With compassion and wisdom, all difficulty can be transcended. I want to bring back the arrow. The 10 relevant acts of Master Lianzi is shown as a path to see the nature. Each person is responsible for one's action. The teachings of the Buddha across time, space, and culture emphasize on upholding the precepts by self-disciplining to keep a simple and strict lifestyle. When we are firm and focused in our precepts, we are not going to harm others, even in difficult times. When asked, why is faith the last act on the list? Master Lianzi replied, it is our self-confidence, our confidence in Tripajim. Can we relive the spirit today? We can, because everyone has a good heart and wants to be happy. We are now looking at modern contemporary Buddhism for human world. An education leadership consultant, also an international scholarship awardee, Dr. Cecilia Manikan, is calling humanistic Buddhism for facing and resolving world crises. Let's hear from her.
Greetings. Thank you for your presence. Humanistic Buddhism for the world in crisis. We are 7 months into this lockdown and there is no end in sight. So we ask the question, what can Buddhism offer to the world in these very trying times? First, in Buddhism, there is the concept of conditionality, meaning things happen because causes and conditions gave rise to them. So in this case, what did we do collectively to attract such global pandemic like COVID-19? Professor Otto Scharmer of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology offers his insights about mankind being trapped in a very deep moral crisis. And according to him, because of this, we do things collectively, and the result of that is something that no one wants to happen. And this is manifested, as he would cite, in the 3 major divides of our time. Number 1 is ecological, the disconnect between man and nature, so that there is degradation of the environment and ecological imbalance. The second one is social, the disconnect between man and man, resulting to war and conflicts. And the third disconnect is between man and himself. What I am today cannot be connected to the highest possibility of being, of what I can be in the future. So what does Buddhism have to say in bridging this deep chasm that separates us from one another, from ourselves, and from the environment? First, there is that Buddhist philosophy that upholds the Bodhisattva ideal as the epitome of Buddhist thought and practice. A Bodhisattva is a living saint in our terms. He has deferred nirvana or heaven in favor of helping others and working towards the collective enlightenment of all. In Buddhism, there is no concept of self as we would refer it as ego, but there is that concept of Buddha nature that represents the very best of what one can be. By cultivating wisdom and compassion, the Bodhisattva connects to his highest possibility of being. The same concept of non-self brings the concept of selflessness, which makes one focus on the other, so that in the process of serving the collective and benefiting others, one can also benefit self. This connects man to one another in the spirit of collaboration towards peace, harmony, and progress. And a selfless person, mindful of himself and others, will be mindful of his environment and its resources. Thus, man connects to his environment and preserves ecological balance. So in this sense, Buddhism, because of its concept of interconnectedness and interdependence, sees self, others, and nature as one organic whole that breathe and survive as one. It is only through this perspective that mankind can similarly heal as one. But there is a caveat. This is not an overnight solution. to reconnect to our highest truth requires the cultivation of morality and the purification of the mind, which is the central doctrine of any Buddhist practice or philosophy. And this reconnection, taken as a whole, symbolizes the oneness of creation, represented by Indra's net, a concept where through interconnectedness and interdependence, one's life can no longer be distinguished, but can be recognized in the thousands of reflections that form a collective light for all. This is humanistic Buddhism in its global reach and universal intent for this time and age. Thank you.
Our confidence in humanistic Buddhism for today is reassured. When we understand that we are interconnected, we care for each other and cause no harm to our environment, our relations, and we learn to respect ourselves. Dr. Manika will be granted her certification in Humanistic Buddhism from Nantian Institute. On a digital platform, there are many initiatives to access the teaching and practice of Humanistic Buddhism. You may have already known this cell phone app. Venerable Dr. Jie Wei reminds us to pause and breathe. Take time to self-care and self-reflect every day so that we can be compassionate and helpful to self and others. And closer to you, Dr. Talben Shaba has founded a happiness studies academy and reminds us to express gratitude, eat and sleep well. This is the basic of human living. We are lucky to have known Venerable Master Xing Yun, who has called himself a simple monk. Let's hear from a spiritual leader how he too upholds the principle of Buddhism and see the beauty in today's world.
一般人对佛教有一个错误的看法，认为这个佛教没有爱心，但是我这不是。
有一次我遇到了一次劫难呐，那个贼就拿了一个枪对着我。 我跟他说：“你放下来，我是宗教人士，我不会伤害你，你也不可以伤害我。”当然，他也没有伤害我，他走了。可是我心里面在想，我帮不了你，我帮你的孩子总可以吧？
人世间太不公平了。假如人可以用平等心待大家，
因为大师他慈悲，这一点点的机会，如果能够翻转他们的人生，那其实是很重要的。
菲律宾天主教的国家，第一个佛教团体在这里建的大学。他们是天主教徒，我们当然是担心这个会不会影响到宗教的问题。可是孩子们知道，因为星云大师在帮助他们，已经跨越宗教，已经跨越种族。
就消息我给人信心，我要给人欢喜，我要给人有希望，我给人很多的方便。
I am your follower, and I am very happy to be under your turf.
It makes me feel that I'm doing a good thing and I'm doing the right thing.
缘是一个力量。 助缘嘛，就帮助这个人成长，所以这个社会很多的都是好人，就是有好的缘分给他。
去公法师，今天我们的比赛我们 win 了。
We are here because of him.
这些孩子真的改变了，他们现在有的成为教练，有的做了老师，他有他的梦想。我觉得那是人间佛教给出的力量。
我们现在全世界5大洲，每一个人都在拼，而且可以说拼得很过分。
佛光山是我的家，我要复兴印度佛教。我觉得复兴印度佛教就是我的梦想。
不管怎么样，我一定要复兴印度佛教。
他是把佛教第一个把佛教传到5大洲的人，真的是让佛教国际化的第一人。信大师是怎么做到的？几十年，
他一心只有呢，我今生做出家人和尚，我来生还是一样做和尚。
我们大家可以再来，当然可以再来。做朋友也可以再来，
朋友也可以再来，朋友。
Hello, I'm apologize that the video is in Chinese, but I'm just going to cut off here to give you a very brief scheme of the content. So it was a documentary recorded with the title Buddhism Depends on Me of Venerable Master Hsing Yun life, and particularly his visions of how humanistic Buddhism or Buddhism can help others. So in this video, he mentioned a few thoughts. First is, he said that many people might have misunderstood Buddhism, thinking that Buddhists hide themselves or go into retreat and not involve with others. And after that statement, the video showed that how Buddhists are related to people and the society, and how Buddhists has made changes and dreams come true for many people. So there are two virtues or two values that Venerable Master Hsing Yun has mentioned. One is the value of giving, or the philosophy of giving and his practice of giving that has changed life for young people here in the Philippines. The two lines that you heard in English are our Filipinos, Then we also have from Brazil and from India. So all of these young people in these places around the world have a dream, but could not find the way to achieve. So Venerable Master Hsing Yun offered that opportunity through educations. Second, that Venerable Master Hsing Yun has offered a way to practice, to be grounded. It was mentioned in the video that he lived a very simple life. But because of his simple life and grounded in the teachings of the Buddha, that he grew the vow to give and offer affinity to the others. So he became the changes for the world. So thank you, and we will continue the video. And after that, we'll come back for the open sections. I apologize that it is in Chinese, but there are a lot of visual engagement. I hope we could hear from you. Going back to Slidos, in 1 or 2 words, what is the way of cultivations in this video? Thank you. In times of crisis, our founding master wrote 40 articles in this book, Heard Me Out. The literary translations is, this poor monk has something to say. He says simple is not poor. Monastics should worry about cultivations, but not simplicity. Again, cultivating of relevant acts is the path to see the nature through upholding self-discipline and building relations with others. Venerable Master helps people to realize that equality and oneness is the key in building a pure land, where personal harmony achieved through equanimity, family harmony achieved through respect, social harmony achieved through collaboration, world harmony achieved through peace. Aesthetic living is appreciations of beauty of life as it presents itself. When we transcend duality, we will be without joy, without sorrow. All sentient beings have Buddha nature. This equality means that respecting others and self are the same as one. BOIM members around the world practices simplicity in living through daily routine. When we eat, exercise, meditate, work, and drink tea, we do it with pure nature. When we organize events for our communities, we practice forgivings with sincerities. When pandemic hit, in the Philippines, we respond to the needs of times and people. We manufacture personal protective gowns and face shields when there were a nationwide shortage. We held online prayers and classes to ease adversity. We join our world conference and support each other by staying connected. This is the last Slido questions. Tell us in 1 or 2 words what humanistic Buddhism can offer to make your day great. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Venerable Miaojing, for your inspirational talk, and thank you so much for all the devotees from the Manila temple who supported this video compilation. There's actually so many video clips. There's so much effort put into this presentation. Thank you so much. And right now, this is not the end of the talk. We still have a very exciting Q&A, and I encourage everyone to put the question in the Q&A function using Zoom or using the YouTube chat function. Do not worry if you put your question on YouTube. We will transfer the question onto Zoom. Now, as we are waiting for more questions, we already have some pouring in, so I'll ask Venerable Miaojing one by one. So the first question: during the pandemic and the world of turmoil, everything seems to be very negative. Can Venerable give some concise example on how to actively seek for Buddhist aesthetic in our daily lives?
Thank you. I would want answering to the questions, and I have also invited Toda Avesco also share her thought from the Philippines letter. I want to mention that Manila is the longest lockdown city in the whole wide world. We are still pretty much in the 60% open. So on the street, the card is maybe 60%, the amount, the volume is 60%. So I can tell that even though being locked down in Mabuhay Temple, because the temple is closed, Quang Minh College is 50% operational. So faculties and staff only come in once a week. Many devotees told me that their business stay close. A few things and thoughts that I learned in the temple over the last few months. So this is why the presentations and how I want to emphasize that it might seem we are locked in and we become isolated and separated, but yet we are actually connected. We are connected through what the technology has offered us, internet connections. So I heard a lot of people say, I'm grateful that I did not die because I have internet. Then the other, we are connected because one person would never live on an isolated island. And especially, we know that we are interconnected and interdependent by the different ways of our living. So for example, our clothing, our shoes, our learning, that we are always in connect with others. Even our food nowadays, we might start growing our plant, but many of our supplies still come in because others are growing it and others are working for us. So I want to thanks and be very grateful because I am with Fo Guang Shan, and I have a group of devotees, and now I get also to get closer to our devotees around the world. When the pandemic broke out, I learned from our renouncing Sifu, Venerable Master Xing Yun, back in January, before anyone else would notice. It was just an epidemic outbreak in one city, one the nations, in one continent. He wrote a prayer to Avalokiteshvara for the safety of the outbreak. I felt it was a very important, a significant relevant act as a spiritual leader. And I have since been using that prayer for our interfaith conference and our interfaith meetings every month. There is a very important line that I learned. I also asked the same questions. What can I do for a disease that comes unseen? So Venerable Master Xing Yun said that, and I quote, let's practice 3 acts of goodness to turn peril into safety. So I believe in that statement. Only when we do good things, we can make changes. So the music that we heard in the very beginning is composed by our Siddharthakas. It was sung by them as well, Be the Light. So it becomes, we pray, we do not request. We pray so that we become strong inside from within, and light and shine that light on the others. So that was the first thing that I learned. And I think it's also very uniquely Philippine. And the first thing that we found ourselves to be more resilient, more hospitable, being very kind to the others. Many are asking, many go streetless or homeless. But we also see many people are giving. Say, for example, Fo Guang Shan and BLIA, the group of us and taking their own initiative to go out to the street to cook at home because no restaurant is open in the very early beginning. So we take initiative to do that. We were connected. I find that it's important that we have to be reminded because first we mentioned in the slices that if we know that we are connected, I want to share with you what I have. And if you are suffering because we are connected, I do not have the heart to see you suffer. because we respect each other and we want to be good together. Just like one family or one big family and now one global family. Then the other thing I also learned from the Philippines was being very faithful or loyal to our God and Buddha, to our temple that become our spiritual home, to our friends and family. For one, Len in the Philippines mentioned this, and it always made me cry when I heard about this, and when I thought the temple is closed, so how are the rest doing? So here, he said, my business can stay closed, but for Wangsan temple and school has to be open. So here you go. I felt that when we are with people of positive energy and with faith as where we can fall back to, or I describe that as our building blocks or pillar for life, we always go back to what human or one person need. When we ask myself or ourselves, do I need a lot of food? Do I need a lot of clothing? Do I need a lot of things to do? But it always come back and fall down to I just want to be good, so that the others do not run away when they see me. I just want everyone else also to be good. Then that one last thing that I like to share that I learned in the Philippines, and also because for Wangsan, we are very creative. So say I have always been inspired and touched. Also be very thankful for the Boston platform. This forum series, I think is very important, and the topic title that you have chosen has already given hope to the others. So we are very creative. We find creative way to be connected. I think the digital platform is a very core platform if we just slice our finger on the screen. But the digital platform is a very warm platform because it gives us the opportunity to be connected to the others when we react. And thank you very much again for the poll. Wasn't sure, but I felt that I get a lot of good energy. And as the questions flow through, we used to be worried when the first slides come out, was very worry. But the energies kind of bumps up over the course of the talk or the time. And I felt that this is what I would say aesthetic. So when we find the very basic in our life and in our living, people that we are connected would bring us to appreciate life in a different form or with different opportunity. So I just want to put that down as a summary that we say life is beautiful, no matter is a good day or bad day. It depends because we cannot change the weather and we cannot change things around us, but we can change what is within. We can change ourselves. So that's from me. Coming back to the questions that can we live an aesthetic life during when everyone else is being very negative? I think a lot of the questions kind of fall into this. I heard, I'm going to share the other story from a devotee. From the very beginning in lockdown and in quarantine, this is what she has been doing. She ran a chain restaurant, buffet restaurant, 40 buffet restaurant in the Philippines, across the Philippines. Overnight, it has to close down. So the first thing she thought, I can sustain for a month, but what about my employee? So she decided that she will help them to stay in Manila, because many workers in Manila come from the province. With lockdown, the transportations was also grounded. So she was feeding. She has to maintain her 40 store or restaurants, and now she's feeding 200 others in the dorm. So 1 month passed by, 2 months passed by, so no sign of end. Then we asked if she's okay and how did she do it. She said she would just sit down every day and show her husband a happy face. She and her husband ran the restaurant or the chain. And so she said, my husband has been locking his eyeball for the last 2 months. I cannot see him do that anymore. So I want to be the positive energy at home. We still have 3 other children growing up. So I want to show them I am their model for their life, that I believe, I have faith that the life is not going to be like this difficult forever. And only when we are diligent, only when we are positive, and we can make the changes for ourselves and for the others. So she makes sure that she always wear a smile at home. And when she comes to the temple to drop off, now her restaurant is doing takeout, making steam buns. So she would bring steam buns to the temple and share it with the other devotees to distribute. So I felt there will be difficult times now and in the future to come. And this difficult time was here before. It's not the first time that we are facing it. But now that we have an internet platform and we have stay-home connections, we know we can go through this together. And we know that when we stay connected warmly, and when we believe that only when I would be the good cause and my surrounding, the practicing the 3 acts of goodness, then I can spread that goodness to the others, and I could see it in myself that others are changing as well. One last line that I learned from Buddhism or from interconnections, and we usually refer that as dependent originations. That is, we do not isolate ourselves from what we do not like. We embrace, we include, and we make it part of us. So what I do not like is also the part of me to make me complete. And now I could be one whole. I would maybe call on Dr. Avasco. Dr. Avasco is a Balanco Awardee, which is a high prestigious literature award here in the Philippines. She has received many of that, and now over the years, and now she is the Hall of Fame. In the Hall of Fame, in the literature, the world industry and academic in the Philippines. She runs a workshop for young writers, and let's welcome Dr. Avasco. I'm not sure, can she be unmute or can she be shown? Or can we make her a panelist?
Is she on the attendee? Let me see here.
Yes, she's on the attending list. Dr. Marjorie Avasco.
Marjorie, okay. So is it okay? Is it possible to make Dr. Avasco Pania? That's okay. There she is.
Dr. Avasco, you might have to unmute yourself.
Greetings.
Isha.
Greetings to everyone. Thank you for your inspiring talk, Shifu, and for inviting me to say something about what we have learned here in the Philippines. To our friends everywhere else, right now my internet is very unstable, but I hope you can hear me. The Philippines basically is an archipelagic nation, and so with 7,107 islands all scattered, you can imagine that sometimes when one area is hit by a typhoon, the other areas are looking at that place and preparing to help the people there. Like what happened recently with Typhoon Rolly. The southern part of Luzon was very badly hit, and until now, people are still suffering. And so with the constancy of typhoons, we always have more than 26 in a year. And the long history of poverty that is structural in the Philippines. The others who are in a better place, let's say those who have jobs and those who have enough resources, always think of the others that are not in that good place. And so the giving is very a constant thing. No, we always try to look at how we can help others. And the good thing perhaps that we have learned from the example of Shifu and the BLIA is that there is no such thing as a generosity fatigue. You must not get tired about helping, because if you do, then what will happen to those who have so little to help themselves survive? And so there is a way of strategizing. Let's say, okay, you help now, and then in the next typhoon, I will be the one to help. And so with even amongst friends, such a system can be done. We did this with the writers. I'm a writer in the Philippines, and when Typhoon Haiyan, which was very destructive in Leyte and Samar, happened, the writers of Samar, who were not badly hit, became our runners, or they were the ones who accepted money and goods and then made sure that they would go inside the point zero of the stores, Tacloban. And we realized that if you systemic thinking, so that the entire archipelago and the peoples can coordinate and help, even beyond the government, because sometimes that takes so long, no? Government and the aid of institutions, then people can actually already help each other. No? So I think I said about everyone has that goodness of heart. And in the Philippines, the teaching of the 3 acts of goodness is a very strong teaching. The acts, action, speech, and thought. No? And so you have to keep this constant. In my question, I posted it in the QA. I think my question had to do with how do you make sure that you don't run out of hope, to keep it constant and to keep it brimful, so that you don't feel the depths of despair, because there are others who are in the depths of despair. So thank you very much, Shifu, for giving me this chance to speak to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Toda Awasco. Toda Awasco has been the inspirations to our students, and also me here to write, to make sure that the experience are kept and spread on. So, Toda Awasco has been very positive. She meditates and she does yoga. She also helped the temple to run the reading clubs. Toda Awasco, I think you have been doing it all already. And especially when you first told me that you have to go online to teach your graduate classes, that is already a very positive move, because I do know a lot of teachers have to let go of their job because the classroom got too stressful going online. So I think one thing that we learned from Venerable Master Xing Yun is taking one step ahead and moving forward. We always, he told us that when we first met on the world meetings for COVID-19 preparatory back in the February. So he came on his wheelchair and looked into the screen, and that's what he told us, to be ready for whatever come our way. Again, I just want to bring it back to when we look at life, there are a lot of questions we want to ask. So why are others suffering? If I'm not, how do I help? And why are others feel like this or like so? And what else can I do? I think if we are already asking that questions, that means we are on the path. We are on the path of finding already answering our own questions. The first is making the best of every day. So making the best use of every moment. I think that is a very beautiful Chinese, the chant living, live in this moment. And a big part of the aesthetic philosophy is what is here now and presence. So what did I see? What I see now? What did I see? Where am I now? And what did I see? Who I hear presence. A lot of time we suffer because our presence and our past, there's a difference. And we also suffer because our presence and the future, it does not meet, or we do not see where we are going. That's kind of, sometimes Buddhists describe that as being lost, being confused, being deluded. And so we are deluded by our past thought and the future thoughts. And even now is already past. So we are being deluded by our own view and our own feelings. And so I think from what I learned in this pandemic, I have a lot of learning myself as well. That is, it's time to clean up. Not just the physical space, but it's time to clean up our thought, that feelings, concerns. Maybe a lot of this, when we look at it or analyze it again, it's not that important anymore. Because now we are walking into a new time zone, or we are walking into a new world. A lot of the other countries are suffering. I think of being a responsible citizen is we respect first the rule, and we then respect the world. We respect the world rule. So we wear masks and we have a hygiene protocol. I think we all respect that. And I think the other things that through these regulations that we also find out, we show care to 60 in the Philippines, 60 and above cannot go out yet. And the younger one. So we care more about the vulnerables. And I think this is a global effort. It used to be maybe an individual effort. But I felt that this time we are in this together. We are taking a global initiative to make changes. And one other things that other than health and hygiene, the one other things that we are in this together is the world that we are living in. Climate change, for example, is already being elevated to climate emergency and climate urgency. So I felt that human now has to take on more responsibility because we are even more connected, and we care more for the others, because now we know with these global interconnections, others are affecting us right away. It's no longer one family, one type of business, but it is all interconnected. And we want to be, again, I want to stress that, and we've seen that a lot of the monastic, why I use a monastic example, because we are all now semi-monastic in a renounced environment and lifestyle. So keeping things very simple is our lifestyle at the moment. If we are keeping things simple, how do we flourish, or what do we grow within? Because everything else externally is very simple. So as a human being, being responsible, we have to go further, go deeper, and go wider to include everyone else, to see further ahead, and to go to recognize ourselves further inwards. I don't know if there is any others who would like to share or to talk.
So thank you so much, Sifu. When I watch the video, I feel it's really heartwarming when I see everyone in the Philippines saying "Hamban, Hamban." That was really heartwarming, and I see the devotees playing football, and I imagine, where is the next time I'm playing football in the field? So that is also I think we can all learn that faith is so important, right, to keep us calm, especially at a time of crisis, and giving is so important that I think we can certainly learn in our Buddhist nature. So without further ado, let me see here. So thank you so much, Venerable Miaojing, and thank you so much, Dr. Evasco Pendia, for joining us in this discussion. And thank you so much for your guidance, and we appreciate Venerable Miaojing and Dr. Evasco time and effort in answering these questions. And if there are more questions, is it all okay to send it to you, Venerable Miaojing, through email?
Yeah, or Venerable Jue-Qian. Yes.
Okay, great.
I would also like to acknowledge some of our BLIA from the Philippines and Kwangming College students. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. So this is almost at the end, so I would like to invite our president of BLIA Boston chapter, Kok Lian Ng, to have a closing remark. Please, President Kok Lian.
Thanks, Louis. Auspicious greeting, Venerable, and everyone that joined us tonight. Once again, thank you, Venerable Miaojing, for your very strong and powerful message and your inspiring talk. Also, thanks, Dr. Evasco, for your sharing on your experience and wisdom in doing good deed. Also, thanks to our advising Venerable Jue-Qian for helping us in organizing this event. Venerable Miaojing has taught us how to see the beauty of our life, regardless of the surrounding conditions, but by embracing self-discipline, relations with others, and faith, such as cultivation, giving, respect, coexistence, resiliency, compassion, and wisdom. We are definitely looking forward to have another talk by Venerable Miaojing in the near future. Lastly, may the merit of this evening Dharma session be dedicated to all sentient beings. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So this is the end of the event, but we have more to offer. Can we show the poster of the next Dharma talk? So this is the Mandarin practice time. Our next Mandarin public talk is on the 22nd of November 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And the topic is 佛说妙味童女经幸福之道 by Venerable Miao Mu, which is Samadhi Sutra, Path to the Happiness. With that, this wraps up our event. Thank you so much for making time in your busy schedule to join us, whether this is the morning or the evening for you. And it's been a pleasure to host this event. We hope you and your family are staying healthy and safe and prosperous. See you next time. Thank you.